Hello my dear students, welcome to CMI's online classes. In today's class for the students of Standard 9, we will continue with the same chapter, the tenses. In our previous video on the same chapter, we discussed about the same topic, the perfect tenses, and we have already completed the present perfect tense in our previous video. Until now we have already completed the simple tenses and the continuous tenses, and we are moving ahead with the perfect tenses. So in today's video also we will continue our discussion with the perfect tenses, in which we will particularly discuss and understand. We will study the past perfect tense from the perfect tenses. We will learn to write or learn framing different form of sentences in past perfect tense, like affirmative, negative and interrogative, both negative and positive. Okay, but before that we have to understand the what verb forms are used in the past perfect tense, what are the structure of sentences in past perfect tense, in affirmative form, in negative form and in interrogative forms, both negative and positive. Okay, so I have written here, you can also see here, I have written here the structure of sentences in affirmative. Okay, because at first we need to understand the affirmative forms of sentences in each tense, and after knowing the affirmative forms, we have to follow some processes to change the same sentences in affirmative forms into negative and interrogative. Okay, but at first it is important to understand the affirmative form. So the affirmative form of sentences in the past perfect tense is, at first we have subject. After that, as I have already told you, that we used to have verbs in the perfect tenses as the helping verbs, as the auxiliary verbs. So from the group of to have verbs in the past perfect tense, we take had. We use had as the auxiliary verb or the helping verb. Okay, so after using had, we use the past participle form of the verb, that is V3. We know it as V3 form of the verbs, that is the past participle form of the verbs. After that comes the rest of the sentence or rest of the predicate. Okay, I hope you have understood the sentence structures in affirmative form in the past perfect tense. So we will also practice framing sentences with this structure, and also transforming the affirmative sentences in the past perfect tense into negative and interrogative, both negative and positive. Okay, but before we practice framing different forms of sentences in the past perfect tense, at first we will see that what kinds of actions are expressed in the past perfect tense. Let us see what is written here. Now it is written here, the past perfect tense indicates that an action was completed at some point of time in the past. So from past we already understand that the action taken the action that had been taken place in the past. Okay, and perfect means complete. So past and complete action, we are going to understand that these kinds of actions are expressed in the past perfect tense. What kind of action? That the action that was completed at some point of time in the past before another action began. That means most of the time when we express or when we speak about the actions using the past perfect tense, we mostly speak about two actions. One, the action which had begun after the action taken place in the past perfect tense. Okay, so past perfect tense के द्वारा हम इस तरीके के कामों को हम बयां करते हैं जो किसी दूसरा काम का शुरू होने से पहले वो खत्म हुआ हो, फिनिश हुआ हो. Okay, that means two actions took place, okay, in which the earlier action which we write will follow the past perfect form, okay, and the later action which began after the completion of the earlier action, that action is written in the simple past tense. Now here we have to understand the order of tenses also, that in past perfect tense we almost express two actions in which the earlier action is expressed in the past perfect tense and the later action is expressed in the simple past tense. That means the past perfect tense is followed by the simple past tense. Okay, understood? That follow that order of tenses. We may write this, that means the sentences have two parts because the sentences express two actions, one in past perfect tense and one in simple past tense. Wherever you put the actions, that means wherever you write the actions with the past perfect tense and the simple past tense, if you write the actions in past perfect tense in the earlier part of the sentence, then after comes the simple past tense, the sentence in the simple past tense. Okay, but again if you write at the earlier part of the sentence in the simple past tense, the next sentence will be in the past perfect tense. So let us understand in detail the uses of the past perfect tense. Okay, the past perfect tense is used for what? To show that two actions occurred in the past. ये बताने के लिए कि बीता हुआ समय में दो एक्शन हुआ है. But one action had been completed much before the other. लेकिन एक काम दूसरा काम होने से कहीं पहले या कुछ समय पहले फिनिश हुआ हो. Understood? The past perfect is used for the earlier action. So जो काम को हम, जो finished action को हम बताते हैं दूसरा काम होने से पहले जो काम फिनिश हुआ है, that action is expressed in the simple expressed in the past perfect tense. Okay, the simple past tense is used for the later action. और उसके बाद जो दूसरा एक्शन, जो पहले का एक्शन खत्म होने के बाद हुआ है, उस एक्शन को हम सिंपल पास्ट टेंस में एक्सप्रेस करेंगे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल यू कैन सी हियर, व्हेन आई रीच्ड द स्टेशन the train had left. So here we can divide this sentence into two parts, in two clauses, depending upon the tenses that each part of the sentences, each part of the sentence carries. Like when I reached the station, this is the first part, the train had left. Okay, if you read this, the later part of the sentence is in the past perfect tense. The train, subject, to had, from, to have verbs, and left, this is B3 form of the verb leave. But if you read the sentence, the first part of the sentence is in simple past tense. When I reached the station, subject plus B2 plus rest of the sentence. Okay, this is simple past tense. But if you read the sentence clearly, this action, the train had left, is the earlier action. Though we have written this part at the later part of the sentence, but if you read the train had left, this action has been taken earlier than this action. That means before reaching the station before reaching the station, the train had left. The action of leaving, the action that the train had left, it has been taken earlier than I reached the station. Okay, in the same way, The spectators had rushed onto the field before the ball crossed the boundary line. Okay, if you divide this action, this sentence also into two parts, you have to this the sentence separates like this. The spectators had rushed onto the field before the ball crossed the boundary line. See, before the ball crossed the boundary line, this sentence is in simple past tense. The ball is the subject, crossed B2, the boundary line, rest of the sentence. But if you see the first part of the earlier part of the sentence, the spectator had rushed on to the field. The spectator, subject, from to have verbs. From to have verbs we have had rushed, B3 form of the verb rush, onto the field. This is the rest of the sentence. So see here, the action that expressed in the simple past tense, it is at the later part of the sentence, and the action in the past perfect tense is written in the first part, the earlier part of the sentence, unlike the first sentence. Okay, but whenever we read the sentence, we will find the same reason that the action in the simple that the action in the past perfect tense is taken earlier than the action we write in the simple past tense. Understood? जो एक्शन हम सिंपल पास्ट टेंस में लिखते हैं, उस एक्शन को हम हमें ये समझ में आता है कि वो एक्शन पास्ट परफेक्ट टेंस के द्वारा जो भी एक्शन को बयां किया जाता है उसके बाद हुआ है. दैट मीन्स पास्ट परफेक्ट टेंस से जो एक्शन को हम एक्सप्रेस करते हैं वो एक्शन सिंपल पास्ट टेंस से हम जिस एक्शन को एक्सप्रेस करते हैं उससे पहले हुआ है. अंडरस्टूड? दैट मीन्स here also we will understand that the spectators had already rushed onto the field before the another action. What is the action? The crossing of the ball from the boundary line. Okay, this action took place at the later part of the later than the first action. That means the action of reaching of the spectator onto the field. Understood? I hope you have understood. Now see this another action, another point to discuss, to explain you about the use of the past perfect tense to denote an action completed before a given point of time. So दिया गया हुआ समय से पहले, past में, in the past but before the given point of time, if some actions had been completed. Okay, अगर बीता हुआ समय में अगर कुछ समय दिया गया हो और उस समय से अगर पहले कोई काम फिनिश हुआ हो तो उस एक्शन को हम पास्ट परफेक्ट टेंस में एक्सप्रेस करेंगे. ओके, लाइक आई हैड फिनिश्ड माई डिनर बाय 8 o'clock. मैंने अपना डिनर 8 o'clock से पहले खत्म किया था. ओके, फिनिश किया था. दैट मीन्स द टाइम वाज गिवन 8 o'clock. So before that I finished my dinner. Okay, now she had sent me a postcard a year ago. That means before a year she had sent me a postcard. Okay, if you see the sentence structure, it will follow the same sentence structure. It follows the same sentence structure in affirmative in the past perfect tense. Subject plus had plus B3 plus rest of the sentence. Here also subject plus had plus B3 plus rest of the sentence. Understood? Now let us go with the structure of sentences in different forms, and we will also practice framing different forms of sentences or transforming the same sentences in the past perfect tense into from affirmative into negative and interrogative. Interrogative both negative and positive. Okay, so affirmative structure. Affirmative structure, as I have already told you, subject plus had from the group of to have verbs and B3 and rest of the sentence. Okay, like he had decided to go to Patna. He had decided to go to Patna. Subject plus had plus auxiliary verb had plus B3 plus rest of the sentence. Okay, this is affirmative form. Now go to negative sentences, negative form. So negative form means the sentences having no or not. So here we have to place not in between the auxiliary verb and the main verb. What is the auxiliary verb here? had. Okay, from the group of to have verbs. And main verb is the past participle form of the verb, that is B3, and not in between these two verbs, helping verbs and main verbs. Like, he had not decided to go to Patna. The same sentence I have changed into negative. Okay, subject plus had, auxiliary verb plus not plus B3 plus rest of the sentence. See the structure here. Subject plus had plus not plus B3 plus rest of the sentence. Okay. Now interrogative sentences, but positive. Okay. So here we are learning about framing interrogative sentences by using helping verbs. So यहाँ पर past perfect tense में helping verb क्या है? Had, from the group of have verbs. Okay. So सबसे पहले हम helping verb को लगाएंगे और उसके बाद subject और उसके बाद main verb. That means subject comes in between the helping verb and the main verb. Okay. And after that, rest of the sentence. Okay. Like, had he decided to go to Patna? Question mark. Okay. Had, auxiliary verbs. Okay. He, subject. Decided, main verb, B3. Okay. Go to Patna, rest of the sentence. That means subject comes in between the helping verb and the main verb. Okay. Now, interrogative sentences in the negative form. Okay, in the past perfect tense. Like, see here. Here also we have to understand that negative sentences means the sentences having no or not. So here also we will put not before the main verb, but after the subject. Okay. The same structure we have to follow that is there in the positive interrogative sentence, but here we have to put not after the subject. Like, had plus subject plus not plus B3 plus rest of the sentence. Like, had he not decided to go to Patna? So here, had, auxiliary verb, he, subject. Now not we have used, and decided, this is the main verb, B3 form of the verb. Okay, to go to Patna, this is the rest of the sentence. So we have put not before the main verb. Like, had he not decided to go to Patna? This is an interrogative sentence in the past perfect tense. So I hope you have understood the explanation of the past perfect tense and its uses. Okay, I hope my explanation is clear. Okay, so this much for today's video about this past perfect tense. If still you want to understand more about the past perfect tense, kindly raise your questions during the class period. But for today's class, this much for you all. Okay, so thank you my dear friends for being the part of my today's class. Thank you so much.